Today is September 10th, 2018, and this is a regular Planning Commission meeting. First item, we need to make a change to our agenda. Item number 4, Site Plan 2018-43 for Caribou Coffee Einstein Bagels. And my understanding is we're going to pull that off the agenda tonight.
Yep, at the request of the applicant.
All right. Any other changes to the agenda? Okay. First item up then is approval of minutes from our August 27th meeting. Commissioners, any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented?
Mr. Chair, motion to accept the minutes as written.
All right, I have a motion to accept the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor of approving the minutes, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And they are approved. All right, next item on the agenda, I guess. Ordinance Amendment 2018-44, electronic graphic display signs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Planning Commissioners, what we have before you tonight is an amendment to our zoning code related to electronic graphic display signs. And first of all, what is an electronic graphic display sign? It is a sign that has electronic images, graphics, or pictures with text information. These are basically electronic changeable message signs. The one thing that we have in our code which differentiates this from other type signage is that there's no animation or video that's associated with it. It can be images that change periodically, but not be of a video image. That is something that is expressly not allowed within the code. We did adopt this ordinance originally in 2006, and as a part of the adoption, I believe we adopted something in error that we're looking to rectify tonight. And I'll go through what those two items are. Within the existing code at present, we have a 25% maximum sign face limit on the use of electronic graphic display signs. So what does that mean? That means if you have a sign face, and right now it would say Walgreens on it as a one text sign. If you wanted to change out the face of that, you could only use 25% of that sign face as an electronic sign. The other 75% of that would need to be your traditional static type of sign. And in reviewing the Planning Commission review back in 2006, I think what the intent of the Planning Commission was at that time was to enact a 25% maximum limit on those uses within windows of businesses themselves, because that's reflective of the discussion that took place at that time. So what we're asking for tonight is an amendment to rectify that. Number one, we would take out the maximum sign face percentage for electronic graphic display signs. It means that you could take the allowable limit that's under the sign code at present, and you may transfer that over to fully electronic graphic display signs if you wish to do so. The second is we'll enact a 25% maximum use on electronic graphic display signs in windows. So for example, if you have a window of a business and they display a sign on the inside facing out, that window area would be capped at 25% of use for that type of product. So that would be the ordinance amendment moving forward, and I can stand for any questions. Also, this is a public hearing, and you may open that at this time. Thank you.
All right, we will go ahead and open the public hearing. If anybody has any comments about this particular item, I would ask you to step to the podium. All right, seeing none, I'll close public hearing. Commissioners, questions, comments?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Barse.
John, is there a max for the amount of signage that you can have on the windows of, the interior signage for display? I mean, is there a cap on that in general?
Sure, good question. No, we do not have a cap on that.
John, pertaining to the 25% of the window area, in the new ordinance, it just says must not exceed 25% of the window area. Is the intent with that to be the particular window it's in, or all of the window area on the storefront?
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. So, for example, if they have 4 windows and one window is completely full, does that constitute 25%? That's a good question. When we take a look at signage, for example, in general, we have a limit of 5% within a side of a building. So based upon that, I think this would be treated similarly, in my opinion, is that it would be the net amount of windows on a face of a building, so not necessarily a particular window.
And that makes sense to me too, because there is another number that also controls the size of the thing, right?
Right.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Barse.
So, John, to clarify, the 5% covers building signage, window signage. It's just the net amount of signage on a given side of an elevation of a building?
Yeah, I'll kind of walk through signage a little bit. General sign code limits that we have. We have wall signage, and wall signage is not inclusive of windows. It's just wall sign that is on the side of a building. And that's capped at 5% of the wall area, or I think it's 40 square feet. So we have a level on that. We also have different requirements for monument signs, you know, the sign that's in front of a business, where the size and the height of that is also limited.
So in essence, there is really no existing cap on the signage for like the graphic displays that retailers are starting to put in the windows, where it's, you know, like a billboard on their window. So there's no guidelines on that right now, or restrictions on how much they can put out.
There is not, provided that the banner or the sign is on the inside of the building facing out, there is not. If it's placed on the outside of the building, then our restrictions kick in.
Okay.
Okay, I want to clarify what you just said. You said if it's hanging on the inside, we don't have control over it.
Correct.
Well, but this specifically says placed within windows and visible to the exterior.
Yeah,
Which
with the exception of this new provision that we're adding today. You're correct on that.
Okay.
But prior to the enaction of this, there is no restrictions on what you can place on the interior window facing out. So our sign regulations up to this provision here are only on the exterior of a building.
Okay.
This provision here would regulate for the first time what's on the interior of a window facing out.
So as a follow-up question then, how do we enforce these things?
As far as the changeover to new signs, they need a sign permit to do that, so we would take a look at what their signage limits would be, and we would have that as part of the review for the sign permit. Now, with the window display signs, that's a very good question. We would not generally have a sign permit for the erection of any signage within a building. So that one becomes a little more difficult. I think it would be a situation that would be regulated more on a case-by-case basis than any sort of mechanism we'd have to do before it happens.
And since these are electronic and can change, I assume that that's case by case. Somebody brings it forward on the illumination levels and the flashing and the other things that are in the ordinance here. It's just case by case as it's pointed out, basically.
Right, right.
Okay. Other questions, comments? Anybody in the mood to make a motion?
One other clarification, Mr. Chair. So, John, with the exterior signage, how it currently reads at 25%, so let's call it on the monument sign, so that will go away completely, and it can be 100% or whatever percentage that they want. So they'd have full flexibility on that.
Correct.
Within the guidelines in that table. We don't have a copy of the table here, but there is that.
Right. So they would be bound by the limits, the size limits, which in most areas is 50 square feet. So you have a 50 square foot sign area, you can have up to 100% of that 50 square feet be electronic signage, but you couldn't go Las Vegas style on it.
Right.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Alpa.
I make a motion to amend the city code for the electronic display as outlined in front of us.
All right. We have a motion to go ahead and approve the amendment as presented. For a second.
Second.
Commissioner Best seconds. Any final comments? All right. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Next steps on that one?
Next step on that, that'll go before the City Council for first reading and to order a public hearing on September 17th. And then the second reading and public hearing would take place on October 1st.
All right. All right, next up, we have a site plan review, 2018-45 Pleasant Hill Library Edition. Director Hinzman.
Right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Planning Commissioners. What we have before you tonight is a small addition onto the Pleasant Hill Library. I think we all know where that is. It's at the corner of Pleasant Drive and South Frontage Road, as shown here. The library building itself is about a 20,000 square foot building. They're proposing a 1,500 square foot addition to the building, which would be generally located within this area. This would be part of a larger expansion renovation project the library is doing. And the space itself would be used for increase to the collection area, for use of the public, and to increase the size of a meeting door. So the changes that they're looking for that would be under the realm of site plan would be the addition and some landscape elimination and improvements that they're doing in this area, as well as changing the location of the north door slightly here. The parking lot area, access, loading would be unchanged at this point. So the property itself is zoned in public institution, guided that way within our comprehensive plan. When you take a look at the building improvements themselves, what they would be planning to do would be to put a patio area. This is the bounds of the existing building here, and you can see there's some existing landscaping that is within the area to be part of the new building addition. So this landscaping would be taken out. The building addition would go here, and new landscaping and a new patio area would be added to the property here. So the landscaping does meet our requirements. The other thing that they are doing is they're changing out some of the fixtures of the parking lot area, making those LED fixtures. The locations of those would not change, and the photometric plan showing the illumination of the fixture heads is within our realm of what we need for the ordinance. So we're looking to recommend approval of this tonight. We do have representatives here present from Pleasant Hill Library and the architect if you have any questions. The building itself would be constructed to match, the addition would be constructed to match the rest of the building. So I can stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Alpa.
John, there's no loss of any trees or anything. None of that's changing. The parking lot's not changing. Nothing like that, correct?
Parking lot's not changing. The trees, there would be some loss of trees, but not a net loss. There's trees that are over here, I think 5 of them that would be taken out, and other landscaping that would be added to the site here and here.
So the net is the same.
Right.
Thank you.
There are changes happening inside the library as well as the addition. right?
There are significant changes happening on the inside of the library. I know that's.
Would somebody like to just step up and just so, I mean, I think it's just good to keep the public informed of these things. And I know you're probably putting information out at the library and a lot of people get it that way, but it would just be nice, I think, to hear a little bit about improvements being made and what you expect to get out of all that.
Sure. I'm Terry Nagel. I'm with Codet Architectural Group. The interior of the building we are almost gutting. We are moving the entryway. We're adding additional restrooms. We're enlarging the children's area significantly. With the addition, we're able to add more open reading space. The collection will stay about the same size. We're able to expand the large meeting space quite a bit so that they can have larger group meetings. We're adding a number of small meeting rooms, which is something they didn't have many or any before. They just had the 2-person study spaces. So we're maintaining the study rooms, but we're adding 2 more conference rooms so that people can come in and rent those out, just check them out basically. So we're adding a lot of amenities that the library doesn't have right now. And so that's a significant improvement that the county has seen fit to provide. So it's, basically everything is going except the mechanical and the electrical rooms. Otherwise, we're taking everything out.
And what's your planned schedule?
So we took bids last Thursday, and then award is happening September 18th. And so they should start construction the end of September, the start of October. And then over the winter, construction should be happening so that the library is open again. When school gets out, their busiest time is during the summer. And so they want everything up and running when next summer happens. They have a temporary location.
Well, I'm Joe Lexa with Dakota County, and we will have a interim library at the Westview Center, just kitty corner to our site. And that is planned to be open on Tuesday, October 16th.
All right, thank you for that.
All right, thank you.
Any questions? Motion.
Keep looking down here, so. Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Martin.
I will make a motion to approve site plan 2018-45 as noted in the staff report.
All right, Commissioner Martin moves for approval. Is there a second?
Second?
Commissioner Barse seconds. Any final comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda, site plan 2018-46, the Intech Plastics parking lot. Mr. Fortney.
Thank you very much. This is a minor site plan review in that less than 25% of the structure is being modified. Minor site plans are reviewed to assure that new improvements meet the requirements in the zoning ordinance, but existing improvements are not under review. The 10-acre property is zoned and guided as industrial, and it's in the middle of the industrial park. In 2016, they added a small addition onto the existing parking lot on the east side, which is outlined in blue. They're currently looking for approval for adding a parking lot onto the west side, just north of the existing parking lot, and adding a truck entrance north of there. The site utilizes existing accesses on Spiral Boulevard and Enterprise Drive through the two existing parking lots. And the third is the truck access that's being proposed. The truck entrance is to improve the truck access in loading to the site. The new parking lot and truck access will have curb and gutter added. The existing parking lot, which is just going to be surfaced, does not require the addition of that. This is one photograph taken at the south entrance on Millard. The parking lot will be extending to the north. And if you went further north on Millard, across, you can see the driveway on the left side. It'll be across the street from there. This is looking from the looking south. This is about the location where the truck entrance will be coming in. The parking lot is acceptable from the square footage perspective. Industrial sites are required to have at least one space per 1,000 square feet. They currently have 162 spaces. They're required to have 127. They're going to be adding a net of about 21 spaces. They have a high number of employees and have had on-site parking issues in the past, and I believe they have multiple shifts, which can increase parking needs. Landscaping requirements don't come into effect because it's a minor site plan, but any tree removal would have to be replaced per the trees replacement policy for significant trees. They've marked out 4 trees for removal. They may not be significant trees. I think if there is one, it'd be that the evergreen, if that's shown on the northwest side. The other ones are pretty small, and they're proposing tree preservation fencing around the significant trees in the area of construction. There is 2 parking lot lights that are proposed on the new parking lot. They're LED lights that are battery operated and solar rechargeable. The lighting levels shown on the photometric plan are fairly low. They're low enough to be established adjacent to a residential zoning district. The applicants are here and can answer any questions that you may have. Otherwise, I can stand for questions. Staff is recommending approval of the site plan with the conditions noted in the staff report. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Can you just comment again, why again is this particular one before us? Well, I mean, it's a less than 25%, and I thought those typically didn't come before us.
The zoning ordinance says that any significant site modification requires this to go through Planning Commission, City Council. John, you want to comment on what we've used as in the past?
Sure. I mean, in this situation here, since they're adding a new parking lot area, we've used that as a precedence to set, to have the Planning Commission review these. Plus, they're putting a new entry road onto Millard Avenue, so that kind of tipped the scales on this one. Okay. There's other things within the code that would be of less significance that we would just handle as staff.
Okay, thanks.
And if I just could add about the 25%, if they were modifying the building more than 25%, then the whole site would have to conform to the zoning ordinance requirements, which is, pretty significant improvement change.
All right, thanks. Commissioners, questions, comments?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Barse.
make a motion for approval of site plan 2018-46 as outlined in the packet.
All right, Commissioner Barse moves for approval.
Second?
Commissioner Alpha seconds. Any final comments?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Johnson.
I'm sure it's been looked at, but can you talk a little bit about stormwater management here? We have addition of impervious, right? So is anything required? Does the existing system have capacity?
If there's less than 1 acre of disturbed area combined from projects, they're not required to meet any of the new stormwater requirements. They do have, plans for how they would be moving the stormwater around, but generally it goes in the same area that the old drainage would go to. With the previous site plan, minor site plan, that's outlined in blue, and what they're proposing here, they haven't reached the acre yet, but possibly with anything they do in the future, it probably would push them over, and then they'd have to do some stormwater mitigation for.
Some kind of on-site treatment? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and so that, you kind of addressed my question. So, yeah, we kind of have a tracking going here with next parking lot, next rooftop. Yeah, so it's not like, whoa, they're under an acre again, oh, they're under,
That's right.
all right. Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next steps on that one?
It'll go to the city council meeting on Monday, the 17th of September.
All right. Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks.
Other business?
Other business, well, I can give a recap of the brief city council meeting that was the other night on September 4th. A couple of items of planning commission interest, the preliminary and final plat of Wallen 18th edition. You may have heard that we had quite a lengthy discussion at that meeting. I think we probably had about 30, 40 people in attendance from the neighborhood. I think the overwhelming opinion of those that were in attendance were that they were not in favor of the subdivision itself. So I think the council deliberated, heard testimony for, probably over 2 hours or so. Ultimately, they decided to table the issue until the next city council meeting. So this will be back before the city council coming up on September 17th. Specifically, they were looking for some further information on any of the impacts that these new homes might have on existing homes within the area, and then also to provide some further analysis on information that was discussed at the meeting itself. So we will be bringing this back to the city council coming up on the 17th of September. Along with that as well, the developer is holding another informational neighborhood meeting coming up here this Thursday, the 13th at 7 p.m. upstairs. The developer is expanding the notification area significantly from what we have done in the past. We've continued to expand that area. I think there's 329 households that were on the notification list, which constitutes every house that I'm aware of within Wallen 1st through 17th editions. So that meeting will take place this Thursday, the neighborhood meeting, and then the action will be back before council on the 17th itself. So I don't know if there's any questions related to that.
Question, Mr. Chair. So John, on that, and I know I asked you before our last meeting, but it seems like the concern is effect on home valuations. And so with what comes before us as a commission and the council, I mean, is that really a piece that's to be evaluated within the plat? Is potential valuations of the homes being built and an effect on those around them? Or is it that they're abiding by the plat and the guidelines that they have to follow for the plat?
Yeah. When we're talking about values from a strictly zoning standpoint and on our authority, that becomes a very difficult issue. The evaluation of home sites itself is generally not part of what we're reviewing for land use. We're evaluating the effects. And when you take a look at the valuation effects on it, that becomes a very difficult thing. If you talk to most land use attorneys, they're gonna wanna shy away from using that as a predominant reason for denial of anything. But that's what we have.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, and then we had the variance request for Bob Wright on West 4th Street. That was approved by the city council on a 7-0 vote, so that variance has been issued, and I think he's moving forward on that project. Looking at some of the items that we have before us, as mentioned earlier, we have the request from the applicant on the Caribou Einstein project to remove that from the agenda. There's some things that they are sorting through with entrances and exit permissions with MnDOT right now that they want to be able to get a better handle on that one prior to bringing anything forward. So I'm not sure if this would be something that would be coming back at our next meeting coming up on the 24th, or it might be a later meeting than that. So I'll keep you in tune with what I know.
All right. Anything else?
Got something.
Commissioner Martin?
So on the wall and stuff, being a resident up there, I'm getting emailed like every day on it. There is a statute I found, Minnesota State Statute 462.358, subdivision 3B, that basically says even if a preliminary plot meets applicable standards in the zoning district, municipalities do have the authority to regulate adopting written findings based on record from public opinion on denying that. So that does come right from state statute. Obviously, there's a lot of different reasons why, value being one of them, but I would just encourage anyone, one way or another, no matter how you feel, to come Thursday. I think the developer's gonna have all the elevations displayed and able to ask any more questions. So, yeah,
All right.
that's it.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner
Sharon,
Alba?
is there anything going on with that mortuary over there? I see like it seems to be in a standstill, just kind of weathering out.
Okay, you talking about the new construction project on 61?
Yep.
I don't know, I'm not aware of any stoppages on that site.
Just curious, because it seems
Yeah.
like it's just sitting there with trusses out in the weather. That doesn't
Yeah.
do good.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any hiccups with that, no.
Just curious.
Okay.
All right. Motion for adjournment?
So moved?
I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.